So there's one girl who came to us. We estimate when she was about 2. We're not sure because they don't have ages. And she was allegedly raped multiple times, violated by her father.
At the age of?
She came to us, we estimate around 2, so at that time.
Oh my goodness.
And there was a lot of trauma, and she would scream and, till no voice there, etc. Research has proven that the big things don't really make us happy long term. So if I buy, say for example, a BMW today, and that gives me great happiness, I feel great, I have a BMW parked in my front yard, then I see my neighbor has a Porsche, and the joy I felt with the BMW is immediately diminished. In about 2008, I was working with children in Sonagachi, which is the red light district in Kolkata and one of the most notorious and biggest red light districts in the world. Pain can become your power, and if you can learn to do that, pain becomes your superpower.
We have a foundation where we started with a mission of supporting 1 kids every year and doubling that number in next 15 years, so that we can impact more than 30,000's life.
Every animal works for their need. There's only one animal that works for greed.
Welcome to My Career, My Choice podcast, where every episode is a masterclass in itself. My today's guest is a powerhouse of intellect, compassion, and passion. She is a political and economic analyst. She is a writer. She is a TEDx speaker. And she is a social entrepreneur. Welcome, Dr. Priya Virmani. Welcome to My Career, My Choice podcast.
Thank you so much, Abhishake. Thank you. It's wonderful to be here, and thank you for the warm and humbling introduction as well.
When I was reading your bio, I just want to ask you my first question, how you did it, all these things that you have done till now. It's an incredible journey, Priya.
Thank you so much for that. So, just after the pandemic, we launched a book I've written called The Smallest Stories to Extraordinary. A very simple book, but magic often lies in simplicity. It often lies in knowing that our caterpillar struggles are not a place to take shame in, but to take growth and pride in, because it's the caterpillar struggles that give us our butterfly wings. So that book is a testimony to each and every one of us, to every life and the everydayness of every life, that there is extraordinary. It's only how we condition and train ourselves whether we see that extraordinary or not. So what I try and do is every day, in whatever little thing I encounter and whatever tasks I'm doing, whether it's work, my personal life, just my routine, just exercising, is to celebrate it as extraordinary. And I think that's what I've been doing. And yes, with a degree of detachment from what the result is. So I feel if every one of us just celebrates our own extraordinariness, that helps us to make our lives more extraordinary, and also to discern it and see it in others and in the world around us. Very simple instance I'll give you. I teach little children in London. I teach them emotional intelligence, skills. I teach them stories from our ancient texts like the Gita, Mahabharata, etc. And one day I remember asking the children, so how many colors of green are there? So these little ones, and they are from the ages of 3 upwards, they look at their, crayon box and color pencil, and they're like, 2, light green and dark green. Like, great, come, let's go into a park. I want you to bring me maybe 21 leaves from the trees around. And we put it on a beautiful chart paper, etc. And I asked the children, any 2 green the same? And they say no. So isn't that magic and magical? Isn't that extraordinary? And how that helps a child to see beyond the limitation of the pencil box into the extraordinariness of the world. How many of us are working with the limitation of the pencil box, and how many of us are using our abilities to see possibilities? So for me, that journey of moving from
Impossible to possible.
impossible to I'm possible.
I am possible.
Absolutely.
Right. So I was just going through with your bio, and I saw that you are inclined to Indian mythology, where you said the Brahma, the Shiva, Om Namah Shivaya. You have given a different narrative of that particular slope which we narrate, right? So just enlighten us how you got inclined towards this Indian mythology.
Yes, of course. It's very close to my heart, and I'll tell you why. It's got tremendous relevance. The more I delve into it, the more I am fascinated by how wise our philosophy is, how rooted in practicality the wisdom is. So I was in university one day, a very young girl. I probably was maybe all of 20 or so. And this tall, 6-foot, gorgeous, blonde Scandinavian girl was standing by a window pane in our living and dining area and says to me, "So Priya, you guys have like 3 million gods and goddesses, right?" And I paused and realized, while I've been to so many temples, attended pujas every year, Diwali, etc., I didn't have an understanding of my culture, tradition, religion, inheritance enough to give her a response to the
Right.
fact that do we have 3 million gods and goddesses? And if so, why? It started just with that question. I was at the University of Bristol then, and they had an amazing bibliography of Sanskrit scholars, Hinduism. So my quest just started at why do we have 3 million gods and goddesses if we do it? Just started with that question. One led to another, and my interest was piqued, and I was captivated. So every time I would get breaks from assignment writing, or I've submitted a deadline, for me, celebrating was going back into, a Sanskrit text, or, understanding a little more about our inheritance. And I saw that we don't have, so to speak, 3 million gods and goddesses. What we have is not a multiplicity of gods. We don't have many gods. We have a multiformity of that
Yes.
same God energy. And then after that, very tragically, overnight, my father passed away.
Oh my God.
While I was studying. I called home one day and I was told that, he is no more. And at that time, my best friend became the Gita. And Lord Krishna became my absolute rock star. Even today, for me, there is no Ranveer Singhs or Deepika Padukones or Taylor Swift. Lord Krishna wins hands down. Anything happens in life, he's my reference point. I go to his life and I see how he's dealt with situations. Because I feel Lord Krishna's stories are very practical and grounded. It's not all about idealism and utopia, but it's about a guy who knows how to strategize, who knows how to deal with the good and bad, who knows how to handle different energies. He even kills.
He knows how to control the emotion as well.
Absolutely. He even kills, and he even instigates others to kill. But what sets him apart is what is his intention. It's not for his need, it is for the larger good. So a lot of us are motivated by our own immediate needs as compared to what is good for the ecosystem around us. So that is where he's a bit of my bit of my,
Inspiration.
completely my rock star.
So I will get back to your old days, right? You are born and brought up in Calcutta, then you moved to UK for
Yes.
your higher studies.
Yes.
So shed some lights on your earlier days. So whether you were planning to do political science from childhood, or there was some other thought that was going to your mind, and then suddenly you choose to be into the economics and the political science subjects.
So my case, if I share with you, the only thing I remember I really, really wanted to be was an astronaut.
Okay, that was your first choice.
Yeah, because I remember I was a very, very little girl, and my dad had taken me for the book fair here in the Kolkata Maidan and bought me these amazing books on the secrets of the universe. And, we didn't have a computer, Google, internet, nothing. And that made me realize that there are not just two colors of green in the pencil box, but there's this whole new universe. Life is not just Kolkata and going for holidays and coming back. So, but then when I was very young, before I was a teenager, I got glasses. And I remember reading in the books that you have to have perfect vision. And when I got glasses, I was so upset. I felt, oh God, this is like, a way of, a spanner in the works of me being an astronaut. But the other things that I really wanted to be always was, from the time I was very, very young, I think 6, 7, I loved theater, really enjoyed theater. And that was something I was very keen on pursuing. And the reason why I loved theater is it was the only time where I had the opportunity to leave Priya and be completely someone else. And I found that really liberating. Like, I'll never know what it's like to be in your head. But if I'm playing you, that's the closest I will get to really kind of understanding and assimilating what it's like to be Abhishake Desarkar, So that's why theater was very appealing to me, and also teaching, because I learned very early on that the way to clarify concepts for yourself is to share it with others. So when I teach you or share with you, it clarifies my own learning. So these were the things that I wanted to be, and I was a university lecturer for many years in the UK. I started at the University of Bristol while I was a student, and I'm still teaching young children, and I do lots of talks and workshops. So this is
How the choice of studying economics came to your mind? Which age?
Because I was very interested in, always, and I still am, in human nature.
Okay.
And economics, one of the fundamentals of economics is when one want arises and it is met, another want arises, right? That was really my hook. What is it about human nature? And economics, to me, really, if I really look at it from a bird's eye view and from a, ground level view, it is an understanding of human nature. And the same with the work I do with, my shows and Vedic wisdom and modern day psychology, etc. I am drawn to all these aspects because I want to better understand human nature. I've just spent a week in the rainforests of South India, near Coorg and Chikmagalur, and I was there with 2 naturalists who were absolutely fascinating. It was one of the most magical experiences being with them, because they knew everything about every leech, snake, insect, leaf, flower, the biodiversity. But what I learned so clearly from them, what they re-emphasized, is every animal works for their need. There's only one animal that works for greed.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
That's why I've always been fascinated. What is it about human nature? We are gifted with so much intellect, consciousness. We should be the ones maintaining the biodiversity. We should be the ones lifting this planet. And yet we are the only ones out of the billions of species, nature has created, who is messing it up. What is human nature all about? Right. Yeah, I'm just really fascinated.
So economics is a subject which gives you that kind of analytical brain, right?
Absolutely. What our wants are. If you go to a country,
wants are unlimited, but resources are limited.
Absolutely.
This is what economics is.
And as
Right.
Gandhi said, there's enough for every man's need, not
Right,
everyone's
right.
greed. If you go to Bhutan, Bhutan is one of the places closest to my heart because they
They know
have
how to
this
balance.
beautifully
They know how to
said.
balance, right?
They have, like, we have GDP, gross domestic product, every country.
Hmm.
They have gross domestic happiness index.
Yes, welfare that is missing. We, as a citizen of any country, we should demand from our government that we need welfare. We don't need any kind of assurance. We don't need any kind of verdict. We only need welfare. Now, people don't understand the term welfare. What is welfare is all about? It's about finding peace from small means. But people are all running after big thought process and big items in their life, right?
Absolutely. Two things I'd like to share with regard to that is research has proven that the big things don't really make us happy long term. So if I buy, say, for example, a BMW today,
Yeah.
and that gives me great happiness, I feel great, I have a BMW parked in my front yard. Then I see my neighbor has a Porsche, and the joy I felt with the BMW is immediately diminished.
Diminished.
But if we learn to look at micro joys throughout the day, a child's smile, you're welcome to me, Dada here bringing me some water, you saw some beautiful flowers on your way up, a beautiful painting. Micro joys really have the power to change the quality of our day, our interactions, our mood, and then over time, that is what is a happier,
Moment, yeah.
more joyful life.
Yeah.
And coming back to again the sense of welfare, the most important thing for a human being is, right from the time we are a child, is to feel safe and secure.
Right.
When we feel safe, if you go to the jungle, you learn every animal that attacks you is only because they feel unsafe themselves.
We have learned that some sort of theories from Maslow's hierarchy theory.
Yes.
If you can recall that particular theory, right? It says the same things, that it starts from the basic needs and then it's moved up the ladder.
Yes.
Right.
But many of us who've also met all those needs, mentally, when we have mental health issues, somewhere you are not feeling safe and
Right.
secure. Whether it's in a relationship, in your job, in your own self-esteem, in your place in the world. This is why religion, spirituality, for example, are strong points, because then you believe that God has your back,
Right.
or the universe has your back. That sense of inner safety is what is the seed that grows the plant of well-being. But greed and amassing material wealth does not. And I am speaking from a scientific, research-proven space.
Absolutely correct. I've written one book called My Career, My Choice, and there is
Wow. Congratulations on your
there
book.
is a chapter where I've mentioned the ideology of copy and paste. People have a tendency of copying from other and pasting it into their life. They don't see that whether it is fitting to their life or not, but they
Wow.
have that particular tendency of copying from other and pasting it. And in this social media era, we always see what other people are achieving and we try to follow that path and we miss our own path, right? So I was going and reading your bio. You have mentioned that you love to write your own script, right? Just shed some lights on that. What do you mean by that?
Thank you so much for the question. But before that, if I can just add a point to the social media aspect you were sharing, that what we are doing, which they say, is you are comparing your inside with somebody else's outside.
Right.
So at the very start, that is a very untrue and untruthful and unstable place to begin. And yes, social media is a space that tends to heighten and encourage the envious side of us. You tend to feel everyone's life is better than yours. But what I tell people, and what I tell myself first before I tell people, is if I feel today, I love your fashion sense, or I think you speak really well, I have two options. I can operate from the space of envy, that, oh God, look, he's got such a great eye for fashion. I don't. It doesn't come naturally to me. Or I can operate from the space of inspiration. Wow, he's got such a great fashion sense. What can I be inspired by and then apply to myself? What is the difference? Envy comes from the energy of scarcity, that I don't have, he has. And inspiration comes from the energy space of abundance, that I have my own good, he has his own good. I would love to learn from that and be inspired and apply it to my own. So rather than the copy paste, you are seeking inspiration to then make it your own.
Correct. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct.
And coming to scripting my life, I do feel that each one of us is unique. We each have a unique journey, and we are meant to have a unique journey. And the plan is for us to contribute uniquely. So if I allow anyone else to write my script, my uniqueness is going to be compromised in that. Not only that, I will feel stifled and I will have less of space to grow, evolve, and be my best version of my own self. For me, the journey of life is nothing but to discover my best self. Every day gives me an opportunity, good or bad. The bad, I learn from it. The bad also sheds a lot of light on my trigger points, on areas that I need to work on. And the good, of course, inspires, encourages, enables. We need a combination of both, really. Just one without the other will not give us the complete repertoire of life. So this is why I feel I wouldn't want to, in a world of outsourcing, your script don't outsource to anyone.
Correct. So you have the, if you have the ability to write your own script, you should write your own script. You should not wait for other to write your script.
I do feel everybody has the ability to write
Everybody
their own.
has their
Even
own
a little child.
Yeah, everybody.
You have, if I just had a nursery here with 7 children, each child has their own personality. You see that.
That's why
from the very beginning.
when a child is born in a family, they say a baby boy or baby girl is born. But with the passing of time, when this particular person discovers himself and makes something out of his life, and he expired, people say, oh, today we lost so and so who was a chairman of so and so company. So this journey
How well said.
is discovering the entire process.
How well said.
Right. So this is what we have to understand. So you work for the children, and these children have their own story, not scripted by them, but might be scripted from destiny. And in my book, I've written that destiny is not a matter of chance, it's a matter of choice. Might be these children was not having the choice at that point of time. So I want to understand that what is this all about, how you support them, how you rescue these kids, and how you put them into mainframe in their life. Just give us some insight about your foundation.
Of course. So it's called Paint Our World.
How the name came. Yeah.
So in about 2008, I was working with children in Sonagachi, which is the red light district in Kolkata, and one of the most notorious and biggest red light districts in the world. And there's a backstory to how I even started working in Sonagachi. And what I used to do is I used to come here. It was the same time, Christmas, New Year break. I used to come here during, holidays. I was studying at that time and lecturing in university. And I was doing art-based workshops with the children while I was here. And one day, this little girl came to me. Her name was Pooja, with her canvas. So I was doing art-based workshops because I was completely trying to get them to express their own worlds in their own ways and in their own words. So trying to get them to discover writing their own script, what that process is like. So Pooja came up to me with a canvas and she said, Didi, Michu's elder sister, I have a question for you. So I said, yes. She said, you are a nice girl. Why would a nice girl come and spend time with us? Because other nice people don't. They move away on the road, etc. And I saw that happening in Sonagachi. It was very literal that, people would move away from the children and cross the road onto the other, just in the little lanes, they would move away. And I told her, I said, look, Pooja, you see this canvas right in front where we're going to paint something? Our world and our life is like this canvas. There are bad behaviors because she didn't know who her parents were. She believed she was being brought up by a lady who was her mother's sister or related to her mother in some way, and that lady's husband who was an alcoholic and would beat them up regularly. And of course, that lady was a sex worker. So I told Pooja, said there are bad behaviors. I didn't want to in any way let her know that what's happening to her is okay or acceptable. It is not. But there is also love, care, trust, goodness, compassion. And you can decide and choose that you will look at your life and reframe your story in an empowering way. Let's paint our world with empowering colors. So later in 2013, when Paint Our World was set up and I was thinking of a name, that conversation with Pooja had such an impact on me, on that little girl's very real, piercing question that really no child should have, that the name Paint Our World is a tribute to her.
So you are empowering them to write their own script.
That's how Paint Our World started.
Put the colors that they want.
Absolutely. Right? For them to understand that, yes, they
might think that the only color they have is black.
Yes. No, that they have been through trauma.
Right.
I'm not in any ways advocating that the trauma be minimized, but be reframed and embraced in such a way that there is an understanding that from trauma, there are healing processes to butterfly wings.
Right.
And also, I have learned and I have seen firsthand with the children and beyond, when we can reframe and process our pain can become your power. And if you can learn to do that, pain becomes your superpower, not your Achilles heel. And pain is inevitable. Each and every one of us who's here for a significant amount of time, every human being, no one goes unscathed.
I can just recall what my father used to say when he used to get hurt while playing cricket or football in our neighborhood. So I came back to the house one day, completely hurt my leg.
Ouch.
He came, I said, my dad, it's very paining. He said, okay, good. What will happen? Give me some medicine. He said, okay, when the pain will go, you will feel relief. So at that point of time, I understand that whenever you're feeling pain, it means you're alive.
Absolutely. It's part of the repertoire of
It's mean you're alive. So make pain your friends.
So well, you're alive and the body uses pain to help you,
Yes.
to direct your attention,
Yes.
to heal it.
Yes.
The body is your best friend. The body is constantly working
So
to help us.
similarly, like any setback is a stage for you to bounce back. So people should not consider it that setback means my life is going to be in a dead end. No, every dead end has a turn. You just have to move on.
So well
You have to just
said.
move on,
So well
right?
said. As I often say, the breakdown is the breakthrough.
Perfect. Now, give me one instance with your foundation which has drawn, I know all the instances that happened, you have recovered many kids, right? One or two example which you want to share with us that you consider that, yes, this is something your foundation is doing for the betterment of these kids. One or two instances.
So I will change names to protect the children for child health and safety. So there's one girl who came to us. We estimate when she was about 2. We are not sure because they don't have ages, they don't have birth certificates, etc. So all that has to be created for them and they have to be brought into existence. And she was allegedly raped multiple times, violated by her father.
At the age of?
She came to us, we estimate around 2, so at that time.
Oh my goodness.
And there was a lot of trauma and she would scream and, till no voice there, etc. And now if you see this young girl, she's a teenager, she speaks beautifully, She wants to, I don't want to give so much information
No
that
worry,
they
no
can
worry.
be identified, because they're all on social media as well. So
Right.
with sort of sensitivity to that and love to that. But yeah, she's become a clear, confident young lady. And there are people who have visited Paint Our World and have been completely taken by her presence, her presentation. And yeah, she wants to see the world. She, is very clear and focused about her career path. So it's really
transformational
beautiful.
journey has
It's
happened,
beautiful to see them move from spaces of trauma and deprivation to spaces of opportunity and joy and growth and meaning and laughter.
So for your foundation, you reach out to those people, or
No, we
they have the
partner.
ability to reach, or you
We
have partners?
partner with shelter homes.
Okay.
Before I set up Paint Our World, I traveled pretty extensively in India. Before I went to the UK, I had mainly done the cities, the main metropolises in India. Today I've done 25 states. And the entire process of discovering the beauty of my home country has been after I went to the UK, I feel.
Right.
I've gone into villages, hinterlands, the hills, the coastal areas. And before I set up Paint Our World, I did this very consciously because I wanted to understand the ground view of the children in
Right.
different parts of India. And that was a very, very, very insightful experience. I did this after I had a stint in Harvard as well. And you realized how with a PhD and all of this, you were on a blank slate of paper. You had to
Right.
learn from scratch.
Right.
None of the degrees I had would prepare me for doing, of course it gave me the financial ability to set Paint Our World up because I set it up with my own funds, but just the crucial on ground understanding I had to learn from zero again. So that was really an empowering journey, and it was only after that I realized there are so many shelter homes in India. And they are doing great work in their own space. They're giving the children food, clothing, shelter. But is that enough for a human life? We associate life with purpose, meaning, career, contribution. Are you a parent?
Yes, I'm a parent.
So you would know your child or children would be the center of your universe. And you are constantly thinking about who they are, who they will become. It's not about food, clothing, shelter. As you said, Maslow's pyramid of needs, that's the basic that you provide, especially if you are you have access to opportunity and you're educated, etc. So that's where Paint Our World stepped in to give them a life that would resonate with purpose, meaning, opportunity, firstly. And secondly, and most importantly, what was being overlooked and is still overlooked is their emotional healing. A child who has been on the streets, doesn't even have a proper name, doesn't know a date of birth. All of them have Munnu, Chotu, Ramu, the same names that they are given on streets or railway station platforms. So no sense of pride in who they are, love and in their identity, who don't have cognitive skills, very stunted, language is very limited. And then you try and put them in some, government school, etc. The retention rate is not there. The child doesn't have any interpersonal skills or any self skills to map that journey. So that's where we came in and we said psychologically verified emotional empowerment exercises that help them to heal, to transition into their life is extremely important. You are into education counseling, and even with the best of most privileged students moving from here to there, there's an adjustment process. And I think that was completely overlooked and is still being overlooked in this country, with the children, where they come from when they're rescued and where they are expected to go into a school, this, that. How, if you don't prepare them for that transition? And a child is not, like we are talking. You can't put a 3-year-old child here who's come from the streets and expect them to, have a therapy session with you. It doesn't work like that, because they won't be able to, have that. So
they might have not seen, they might have not expected this kind
no
of
child
thing.
can, sit down and sort of process. I mean, they're still very, very new to the world and impressionable. So what we came up with is psychologically verified activities as therapy.
Okay.
So we use activities like dance and movement therapy, which is very powerful, theater, narrative therapy, storytelling, art, expressive art therapy. We use therapies because children are ready to play. They are ready to. So we use the play to create spaces of externalizing the trauma and then healing. Till you don't externalize it, you have to release it from your nervous system. Otherwise, that andar hi andar kha jata hai, that eats you within. And once you externalize it in a safe environment, well-meaning environment, then the process of healing begins and is accelerated.
So most of the children which you recovered might be from street, from any of the home, right? And you put them into the mainframe. There's a big task, and you've been doing it since 2008, right? Then the journey started. So till now, how many life has been transformed by your any count?
So about 583 children.
My God.
And we have children who are now applying for competitive exams in engineering in India, for IAS, who are, pastry chefs in hotels, who've gone abroad on scholarship. So they're all doing their own thing, and, it's so humbling for me to share that many of them have gone ahead of me and are able to do things and are doing things that I'm totally inspired by. So that is really beautiful. I remember there was an instance at Paint Our World where many of the children, we had to give them dates of birth, etc. And their birthdays. They didn't know, right? When they come, I've never seen a child really know their birthday. They might say, okay, I was born during Holi or maybe Diwali or something like that. So they all said ki Priya Didi ka birthday chahiye.
We will celebrate.
No, they want my birthday to be their birthday. I'm 22nd Feb, so they said we are also on our birthday. We also want 22nd Feb. We celebrate
put any year, but give us
same day.
Again.
So I remember asking them why, and they said, "Aapke jaise banna hai." So it was a group of mainly a lot of girls, and of course I was very moved. But today, when I look at those same children and they are inspirations to me, what more do you want as a parent? If tomorrow your child is your inspiration, then...
That's why you have been recognized by the UK House of the Parliament with an award, She Inspire.
Thank you, yes.
Right?
So that is the...
You really inspire people. You are a godchild. In one word, I will say.
Oh, wow, that is the ultimate compliment.
Yeah,
Thank
you're a godchild, because very few souls on earth have an intention like this. What you have with your life, you know the purpose. Most of the people don't know their purpose of existence. That's make their life horrible, and they blame God. You have identified your life purpose. You have identified, Priya. Hats off to you.
Thank you so much. But
hats off to you. Your stories is giving me goosebumps, because I'm a very emotional person. Whatever you're saying, the narrative, whatever you're giving, it's really so inspiring.
Oh, I do firmly believe that, undoubtedly believe, we are all children of God and nature. It's only...
I believe only good souls connect.
How much we recognize that, in chapter 11 of the Gita.
Yes, please.
Chapter 11 of the Gita, when Krishna wants to show his all-encompassing universal form, his Vishwaswarup, Arjuna tells him that show me your Vishwaswarup, your cosmic form. only if you feel I am ready to receive it. So how we receive who we are, a child of nature, a child of God, is really what determines the story we tell ourselves about ourselves. The stories we choose to believe, the stories we don't have the courage to disbelieve. That is part of the tagline for my book as well, the smallest stories to extraordinary. And I remember there was a time in, I think it was 2013, where the BBC in London did an interview with me, much like we're sitting together today. And they had live audience who were questioning, and then it was about my work, but there was some questions about Paint Our World. It was the early days, 2013. Paint Our World had just
journey just began at that point.
As a registered charitable trust. In fact, Paint Our World was registered as a charitable trust in June, and my interview was in February, so it wasn't even registered as a charitable trust. But one gentleman from the live audience, he said, "How many children are you helping?" At that time, it was about 181, something along those lines. And he said, "Well, how many children do you have in India who are on the streets and in need of help?" And as per my numbers, the last numbers that we had on that were by a charity done in 2007. There were 252 million street children in India. So I told him, so he said, "You think you're making a difference? You think you're helping 180 and 252 million?" So then I just asked him, like I asked you, I said, "Do you have children?" He said, "Yes." So I said, "How many children?" He said, "I have one." I said, "Is your child your universe?" "Yes." So I said, "How can 180 be a number? There are 180 universes there." So, and I told him, I said, every child that is helped is a universe in itself. And sure, the task is much greater. And so I need people like you to come on board and help. And you won't believe it. He actually responded. He tweeted to the BBC. BBC connected me to him, and he helped hugely at that time.
So you also get support from the corporates, individual?
Not really. We don't have any aggressive fundraising arm, so to speak. I fund it by and large myself, because fundraising is a whole different endeavor, ball game, and I'm very keen to keep it very pure. So the moment it gets bigger, then somewhere I'm concerned if that purity might in some way be compromised. Now I know operationally what's happening, things with the children. But I do have a lot of friends and a lot of companies who are personally known to me. Like you were saying, you were having a chat, who do come and help. But most of the time, the kind of help that I take from them is, that we accept from them, is we insist that they come, be with the children. And so, for example, there's one company that provides stationery for the children. So their employees come themselves and give the stationery to the children. So that interaction is there. They know where it's going. So a lot of the time, it's not money, it's things. Or if we have events, like now we are preparing something for the new year for the children, you might say, okay, I want to sponsor the food or the magic show. So a lot of the time it's like that. But our main work is the psychological workshops for the children and their extracurricular, right? Someone wants to be a magician, someone wants to be a runner, someone wants to be a chocolate maker. And there I feel in India, I don't see people are so forthcoming. That, okay, fine, I will sponsor chocolate classes for Imran. Or I will sponsor, athletic running coaching for Meera. No, because that is more intangible and they don't see it immediately. They also feel happier if they say, okay, I'm sending a cake. They feel happy they can see the cake. But this is the work where we really need people to come on board and help, because this is what changes the child's life going forward. As they say, if I give you a fish, you will eat for a day. You send the cake to the children, they will enjoy and eat for the day, which is also great. But when you teach them how to fish, they will eat, they will be empowered for a lifetime.
Yeah.
So that's where I really need awareness, especially in India, for businesses, corporates, companies to come forward and say we will support the emotional healing, the emotional workshops, the extracurricular. Just like I said, if someone came and said that, okay, so-and-so wants to be a pastry chef, I am taking care of that. Sonalika wants to apply for IIT, I am paying for the tuitions and the books, etc. That's where I would like help.
We have one foundation which helps students because post-COVID is definitely a recovery year for any educational consultant who is into overseas educational industry.
Yes.
Because we have seen 2 years of lockdown where all the borders was closed, right? And now, since you are a political and economic journalist, analyst, you understand that the socio-economic condition is not well, right? So we have a foundation where we started with a mission of supporting one kids every year and doubling that number in next 15 years,
Wonderful.
so that we can impact more than 30,000's life,
Wow.
right? So that's our mission.
More than 30,000 universes.
Universes, right? Because every year we are going to double it. So this year we have supported one kids. In 2025, we are committed to support two more kids. So these kids which have already been supported in 2024 will join by another two universe.
What a wonderful.
So this is how we are going to moving forward, because we have to take a small step,
It's sustainable.
a very small step. We have to put ourselves into a challenging situation, and we have to break that channel to move forward. Other than that, we cannot. If we think that, okay, we have to impact 30,000 people, universe in the next year, it's not possible. So we have to take a small baby step, and we have to
So
move
well
forward.
said.
right?
As I was saying, I was just in the jungles, in the rainforest, and I went on this trek which had a very, very narrow path. So you could barely see anything, and there was mist, and it's on the mountain, and the vegetation is like closing over you. And we were told that, our end point, our destination is an amazing view and it's 360 degrees. But when you're on that journey, you just have to think of getting the next step. You're in a rainforest. There could be snakes there. You step on a snake, the snake might, you're fully focused on getting that step right. And every step you get right, then you get the view. So every child, getting every child right is the way to the view.
So my humble submission to you that in 2025 we have to hunt two kids, and if you can find two kids who need support from our
Wonderful.
end,
Yes, of course.
we will be definitely
Of
helping.
course, we have many children.
Yeah, we
who
can
would be-
definitely help them in their education. We will definitely support them in their education. Whatever is required to fulfill their entire year educational support will be taken care by our foundation.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful.
Thank
I
you.
feel that is the way to leave footprints, because what is most reassuring for me, most joyful for me, is knowing that my children, and I see them as my children, will not be the kind of parents that their parents were.
Right.
And that's how you change the story.
So, Dr. Priya, before we conclude this enlightening conversation, right, I just want to know from your end, you've been doing a lot of shows, right? And I'm doing a little bit of research about your PhD, where you have mentioned that you don't believe about mental health and physical health as separate entity, where you believe that it has some interconnect, right? Tell me something about your shows that you do, and the concept is what they say, hatke. So tell me something about that.
Thank you for your question. So let's look at the physical, mental part first. So in common understanding, mental health is separate from physical health. If I have a broken bone, it's not the same as, anxiety or depression. Let me ask you, so a lot of the antidepressants out there, like a Prozac, they are called SSRIs, serotonin reuptake inhibitors. So they ration the use, the uptake of serotonin. So serotonin is a feel-good chemical, right? It's the chemical that is the antidepressant that helps us be in a good mood. According to you, where do you think serotonin is produced in the body?
I have no idea. I have to surrender.
Just take a guess. It's the brain chemical that helps us feel good and puts us in a good mood.
I think it can get produced. I have no idea. I have to surrender. Yeah. No idea.
You don't want to try taking a guess?
No.
Okay. So now the 90% of serotonin is produced in your gut. So if your gut is not healthy, your digestion is not okay, how can you have good mental health?
Perfect.
So how are mind and body separate? To have good mental health, one of the first things you need to take care of is your gut microbiome. The gut is fundamental. No matter how many antidepressants I give you, counseling sessions I give you, if I don't look at the body holistically and understand the conversation, the constant dialect and the dynamics between mind and body, and I've given you one example, the examples are multiple, and research is proving more and more examples are coming up, so the examples are, limitless. How can we then say mind is mind, body is body?
Correct.
You have to understand the two. So my shows, it's a very innovative concept because it's a bit like an Andrew Lloyd Webber production. And what do I mean by that? I mean that we have song, dance, lights, storytelling, but the message delivery is about your wellness and about the magic and mysteries of mind and
So
body.
you synchronize every aspect and
I put it together in an entertaining format. So you're actually going for a show.
Right.
But you're coming out
Outcome of the show
informed.
is wellness of the mind.
Absolutely right. And if I can entertain you, the message will be delivered more powerfully.
Yeah, rather going for because I have attended some of the talk shows where we get the host and they speak uninterruptedly for 1 hour, and mind have a tendency to get lost. When you don't get serious attention, the mind try to travel elsewhere, right? So your show will put the audience engaged because they're seeing a lot of things simultaneously.
That is our intention, and also we are now products of a world with social media, screens, YouTube,
Right.
where we need multiple stimulation.
Yes.
We need visual, auditory.
Right.
So that's where we've also tried to bring in different elements together so that we cater to the different sensory sort of proclivities of the audience, and we leave them entertained, and through entertainment we have the chance of delivering the message in a way that is likely to stay with them a little longer.
So any show coming up?
I am working on something, and
You do it mostly in London, right?
I've done here as well in India.
Okay.
And we want to take it further afield because health and wellness is something that touches people irrespective of where you are in the world. But most importantly, I want more and more people to come forward: artists, dancers, musicians, creative directors, sponsors, costume designers. So it's a whole orchestra that has to come together in harmony. And I am now looking at a show where the magic and mystery of the mind and body can be conveyed using ballet.
Okay.
But it's going to be a process and a labor of love. And the more beautiful people we have in this endeavor, the more we all can be part of a powerful journey. Because for my artists who are part of this, and everyone who joins, I feel the process is not about one evening we are delivering, or 3 evenings we are delivering a show. It's the process that should transform us.
After effect of the show.
No, not the after effect. The process of putting together the show.
Okay.
Every day, how we are, just a simple thing I shared with you about serotonin, right? How that is impacting us. And if the process is what we are receptive to, the audience by default will be beautifully impacted by us.
Right.
First, the work needs to be done on ourselves.
Yes.
When each of us is in that space of inspiration and creativity, then I have absolutely no concern that it'll flow seamlessly to the audience.
That's why it's said that when you put fingers to others, one finger you are pointing to others, 3 is pointing to you. So the process has to stand from ourselves.
Absolutely.
Right?
So I really, my endeavor is to get the right team together, a team that is receptive, just as Arjuna was to Krishna.
Right.
Because it's that receptivity that will transform each of us so beautifully that we can then deliver to the audience. Because if it is about well-being, if it is about shifting the dial, we need to be role models of that first.
Right.
We need to embody that before we can authentically and truthfully convey that. So I will take all the time I need to ensure that as best I can, that the team are a team that is receptive and open to evolving and open
So-
to using their abilities and making them possibilities.
Any last message that you want to give to our audience who might face depression in life, how to overcome? So, any last message from your side to our audience who might face depression? Because nowadays we have seen this youth, this generation, they get very promptly depressed, right? Because they have got an universal mentor, which is Google. Whatever depression comes to them, they just try to Google it and try to understand what the Google algorithm is placing in front of them. They are not having Lord Krishna to interpret the life journey, what has been done with Arjuna, right? So Google has been considered as a Lord Krishna who is giving any algorithm message back according to the prompt of our inputs, right? So the people get depressed a lot. So any message from you, because I think you can be coined as an angel for anti-depression, right? Whatever you have been done still there. So if you can give one message to the audience, that will be a concluding message, right?
So depression and anxiety are two of the most concerning mental conditions. Anxiety, they say, affects 1 in every 2 people. So every alternate person now has been through anxiety or will suffer anxiety at some point in their life. There are multiple reasons for depression and anxiety, beginning with environmental factors, circumstances, childhood impressions and upbringing, the food you take. As I said, serotonin is produced in the stomach. So how good is your digestive system? How healthy? There's so many factors. But to leave you with one thing, I would say that for every one of us, to take that pause, no matter what is happening in our life, to know that the divine plan for us is not the rat race, it is grace. And the fact that we are a dance of 1 trillion cells, heart beating, oxygen going in, metabolism happening, every cell mitochondria working. Every day we have cancerous cells that are being killed by the body, your skeletal system working, your digestive system working, Celebrate yourself. And understand that even when you're depressed, you're actually doing the best you can. So help your mind and body to do better for you and tap into the energy of grace, which comes from God or
From
nature
universe,
or
yeah.
the divine plan or universe or your inner self, not the rat race which is man-made on a production line in a factory. It's your choice. Do you want to go with supreme engineering or do you want to go with rat race? Easier said than done. It's not easy, but it is doable. You have a choice every day, every hour, every experience, every argument. You have a choice. The moment you reclaim that choice for yourself, that's when you start changing your script.
Absolutely correct. Absolutely. It's stunning. Whatever message you have given is stunning. Because I always say to my students who comes to me with this depression note that nothing is happening in life, God is not kind to me. I say, whenever you find yourself in this depression situation and you say that my life has been buried, right? Imagine that it's not been buried, it has been planted.
Beautiful.
Universe has some different plan. You have to just identify, as you said correctly, you have to write your own script. Thank you, Dr. Priya Virmani,
Thank
for
you.
your time. It's a wonderful conversation with you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much.
Namaste, as they say, namaste is I negate my ego and the best in me honors the best in you and the divinity.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your
My
time.
joy.
Thank you.